Hello and welcome to another episode here on Captain's Dry Dock. And in the dry dock today, we're making a 3-tier Star Trek inspired wedding cake stand. Let's make it real. So last year, I was approached by a former client of mine if I could make them a wedding cake stand based on the design of the 3D chest that you see in the TV series, and also played with by Sheldon in The Big Bang Theory. Now, this was going to be a challenge because this was only designed to hold up some very light chess pieces as well as 3 acrylic boards. Now, this design needs to hold up 3 heavy wedding cakes, and so I had to experiment. First, I grabbed a few screenshots of the chessboard from the Star Trek The Next Generation series. I popped that into Photoshop and made it clearer, and then imported that into Fusion 360. Yes, I hear you screaming at the screen. That's one person who's actually saying, why don't you just buy a 3D chess game from Amazon and just adapt that? Now, that's a good point. In fact, we looked into it. However, it just wasn't big enough to cater for the size of the cakes. Although you get a gold star for thinking the same thing we did. Although this file wasn't going to be sent to a 3D printer or a milling machine, a digital 3D model really helps understand how it will look, as well as giving the client an idea of what the outcome will be. After a few tweaks and at the client's request, it ended up looking like this. I decided to make this out of MDF to keep the cost low for the client, as well as being a great material to make any design from. However, MDF's downside is that it's incredibly weak when there's not much of it, especially when it's not braced. We're looking for materials. Damn! Oh, no, don't complain to the YouTube authorities. I'm looking for resources to be able to make this strong. And the answer would be metal. However, the metal side of it would have been really, really expensive for the client. And I wouldn't blame them backing away and saying, actually, this is too much money. Also, there's no guarantee that this thing would be balanced correctly because the original design was based for light chess pieces, not 3 large wedding cakes. So after all that effort, all that money, it might not work. So that's why I ended up sticking to the materials that I did. So working closely with the client, we came up with this rough design that's still in keeping with the theme and will certainly do the job that it's designed to do. Then it was just a case of sending the design to the laser cutter and waiting for it to do its magic. Originally, I was going to paint the alternative squares to make the chessboard pattern, but found the engraved function on the laser cutter did the work for me, as well as looking so much more beautiful.
Nice.
Shh, come over here, join me. Now that we're in the privacy of my workshop, now I can actually talk about something that's quite sensitive amongst the community that likes to make replica props, and that's CBS. Now, CBS are the people who basically own Star Trek and also the licensing of products, which means if you produce anything directly from that TV show without a license, you can get either a cease and desist letter or sued at the worst case scenario. So one of the other additional reasons why you want to change a design such as this to not make it look exactly like something used in a TV show is to get away with that, because if you're going to do a commission, even if you do something for free for someone else, they will come down on you hard. So in fact, having a redesign is a really good thing for me, as well as it's still looking beautiful. As for the pillars, the original design was going to be using acrylic tubes, but this would have blown the client's budget and was way too expensive for what they were. So the alternative were square pillars that were made which actually look better with the overall square design of the boards. I decided to make them frosted rather than clear. Now there's many ways to get this effect, such as painting or sandblasting, but I used a belt sander, going from a coarse grain to a fine grit. Oh, before we leave the privacy of my workshop, if you want to see an episode dedicated on my experience with CBS and a cease and desist, leave a comment down below and let me know if you want me to make that episode. Because believe me, it wasn't as negative as what people make out online. In fact, I found it incredibly informative and a positive experience and interaction with them. So leave a comment down below if you want me to make that episode. In the meantime, let's make that stand. The last touch is a practical one of the clear sticky pads to raise the base from the table slightly for ease of moving and picking up, as well as it protecting the clear acrylic design. The biggest highlight for me for this commission was the client. The client was fun and they were really able to take on my design advice as well as give any suggestions to me, which made the whole project so much fun and resulted in something really beautiful. Speaking of which, if you want to commission me for something, by all means reach out to me and I'm happy to discuss your projects. And now for the boring YouTube fluff. If you'd like to comment, subscribe and like, it really does help me a lot. I'm almost at 2,000 subscribers at the time of videoing this episode, and it really does help me actually make more. In the meantime, my name's John Child. I now make wedding stuff, and this is Captain's Dry Dock. I'll see you on the next episode. You take care.